I ain't gonna lie, with Chain and Soldier episode 10, seeing Snake Girl with fan service at the end of the episode was a quite peak. I definitely will definitely say. Cute and evil kind of mix between between each other. They really definitely do. Wow, I mean, really obvious, but really obvious. But I have to say, this episode was okay. It was definitely was. It wasn't the greatest episode I've seen. I wasn't seen so far, but to get some more clarity of basically what happened, basically what's between Yuki's sister, is just really quite an interesting tale to really just say none at least and stuff like that. And how they were brought into the monster world, or I would say the demon world, or something like that, whatever you want to call it. And I think that it really does tells its own tale, and it really does. To be honest with you, I just want to say here is that how they inherited their powers and to wash away their humanity was eating the peaches, which is basically called the motto, which is called the motto peaches. The motto peaches are the ones are pretty much are the ones that pretty much basically get powers. That's basically what they're supposed to do. That basically goes basically go and give them the powers that we need. Take as instance for as for Luffy. Luffy ate one of the what I think it's called the forbidden fruits or gum gum fruits or whatever you want to call them or something like that. I don't know what they're called. So when Luffy ate one of the fruits, he inherited a power where he could stretch his arms and stuff like that, whatever far away from distance and stuff, and uses his body as his different gears to basically go into battle, and that's what he definitely does and stuff like that. And stuff like that. I have thought about maybe watching One Piece. I thought about maybe watching it, but I wasn't really actually so sure because I said like I don't know. I thought about watching it, but maybe I probably will watch it. Probably maybe on my time. Maybe I don't think I probably will do live reactions. But anyway, so it does seems like it has that different formula, like the Mato Peaches kind of represents the authentication basically of the One Piece anime, based of the basic, or I will say forbidden fruits or gum fruits, whatever you want to call them, to basically get them powers so that they can have to basically that they can personally they can use them and to use them basically in battle. Now, basically for the MC, basically is that I can't remember if he did really actually received the Monto fruit, or maybe he must have eaten it, or maybe he must have did. I don't know. I have to go back through some of the episodes and see where based from there and stuff like that. But also just to keep one thing also in mind also well too is basically the main enemies, which is basically the main antagonist is the Bureau. The Bureau is basically are the ones that basically do all kind of diplomatic experiments and stuff like that, based on the girls and stuff like that were transformed into their monster forms, or I would say the humanoid forms. And that's what basically really actually is. They kind of blame the bureau because what happened because of what's basically what happened to them. And to be honest with you, I personally would definitely say here and stuff like that. I think they have every right to be very angry and be very extremely upset because the way that the bureau treated the humanoids, because that's just how they definitely do feel and stuff like that. If someone's feeling like they're being treated unkindly or different or whatever it is and stuff like that, a person definitely just has the right to be upset. And sometimes for different aspects based on a person, sometimes a person can forgive, but they cannot forget. But sometimes a person cannot forgive, and they cannot forget. It's basically kind of the different based on the different aspects and stuff like that. Basically, for me, it's in my own terms and stuff like that. I can forgive, but I cannot forget because basically what happened and stuff like that and stuff like that. Yes, I can tend to hold a grudge and stuff like that, but I try not to. I try not to, and I try not to 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 demonize basically myself to basically in that way. And I can definitely understand how these girls are basically definitely do feel which when it comes to humanoids is basically that they're half humans and they're basically half monsters or basically half demons or whatever you want to basically really want to call it and stuff like that. Do I see a peace treaty basically definitely is going to happen between the humanoids and basically the demon defense forces? Which it basically, in other words, I do think it probably would definitely would personally would definitely will happen, but I probably will definitely will say this. Basically, it's basically that they have to learn to basically get along. And I like what Yuki's really actually basically doing is trying to snap at his sister to trying to get her to reason and stuff like that. But she seems like she's a very delicate, very kind of person that she can't be persuaded to basically understand and trying to get over to basically really understand here is that that they can work together and not have to go to war with each other and not just basically just do that. That's just kind of like basically like back then in history, like as for us in America, whites we used to go to war with the black people and stuff like that. We used to do that and stuff like that. We used to hate each other and stuff like that. That's just the altercation, the base of that. And when you see a different, I said this many times before, when you see a difference, of that, it kind of makes you feel like that's just not fair. I just definitely do think that's just not right. I definitely do think that's just not. I just think that it's not right. It really is not. And to be honest with you, if I was part of one of the demon defense forces, then I would be laying out a plan and laying out something. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. I do apologize. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay. I do apologize, you guys. I thought someone was pulling up in my drive. I thought somebody was. But anyways, as I was saying, if I was part of the Demon Defense Forces, if I was the Supreme Commander, I would probably would just basically talk things over basically with the humanoids and basically and basically help them understand what their position and also to help them understand what they can provide for us and stuff like that and can we basically can find a coexistence to basically to work together and hopefully that can be definitely be the major case that hopefully that we can basically can find a publication to basically work together instead of just not having to fighting unnecessary means to basically to fight each other. That's something I personally I definitely don't want to see, but I want to see what basically of the aspect as a supreme commander. Like for me, I'm just saying as an example, I understand you get position to understand reason. I definitely do see a definitely a very good clear buoyancy of a difference of a alliance, maybe possibly that could basically could form. I definitely do think so. That could really possibly that can really can happen. But the question is, can they recognize? Can they ultimately recognize? Can they understand? Can they really basically get along? That's like I said before. If you go back to history, that's just like to basically with Martin Luther King Jr. Basically with him is that I know I don't want people to really think that I'm getting into much of history and stuff like that. But if you basically understand, you will basically understand it. It's just a form of unity and a form of strength between each other and the basically do that. So I definitely do think it's very important to understand that people who are different and people who are not the same and stuff like that. When you have something that's different, you have some people that are just the same. They don't agree with each other, and they just don't. They just don't definitely don't. They just have their own different. They have their own different things, or I would say, basis their own different beliefs, basis stuff like that. Basis for me is that I may not be able to get along with everybody and stuff like that, but I'm just basically I just like a straight person that's just like I see things more in a different view than others in basically in things and stuff like that. I definitely do feel that way from Yuki because I definitely do feel that way because that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. And I'm glad Yuki's taking a stand for basically something of that. And I can definitely can understand that he see things in a much more brighter, much more overhaul view of the world of basically what he sees, but not just basically as ways as revenge or basically politically, basically going into war, but basically making peace and stuff like that. And I think that Yuki is definitely is a very important aspect when it basically comes to this anime, and he's a very important MC when it comes to this anime also well too. But that's just my opinion. That's what I definitely do think. But yeah, anyways, that's it for this anime interview. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys like this episode? You guys like it? What you guys think? What you guys' opinions about Yuki's position? Basically trying to make peace with his sister, and what you guys' opinions about the basically of basically the Snake Girl fan service at the end. Definitely quite very peak. I definitely say that. But yeah, but anyways, it's not nice. I'll see you guys there. Take care. Hope you guys all day. Don't forget to subscribe. Please consider subscribing. Excuse me. Uh, give me a like on my video. Give me a like on my video, or give me a thumbs up, or give me a thumbs up. Doesn't matter to me, or dislike, whatever you want to do. And please leave a comment below. Anyways, I love you guys. Take care. Hope you guys all day. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.